Hello everybody, it's me, Jennifer Stenhouse from Little Metal Foxes, and I've got a tool tip for you tonight. Actually, it's a few tool tips about tool maintenance and taking care of those, as well as some polishing and cleaning and things that work really well. And a big shout out to, hey there, hey Chris, big shout out to Big Red EDC for introducing me to the people over at Flitz. I have used Flitz compound as a polishing compound in the studio for a long time, but found some new products because of Big Red that I wanted to share with you guys. If you're not aware, and you're in the metals, metals and jewelry sort of branch of the metals part of things, the metals, guns, knives, weaponry, all that stuff sort of comes into one big family. And a lot of the things that are used in knife making and knife repair and care and restoration are also used in the jewelry industry, and in small studios like yours and mine. So I found some things because of that I wanted to share with you guys. And Big Red was nice enough to share his contact with me at Flitz, and I've got a special surprise for you guys. So anyway, let me tell you real quick, Julia's going to be joining me here in just a few minutes. In the meantime, speaking of polishing and taking care of your tools, I've got the Flex Shaft Demystified coming up on Saturday, the September 3rd, this Saturday, and that is going to be all of the care, the feeding, the pedals, the attachments, all the stuff that you guys are like uncertain about with Flex Shaft. If you feel like it's a little intimidating, you're not sure you want to make that investment for your studio, let's talk about it. There are lots and lots and lots of options in terms of different motors, different attachments, different purposes for something like a flexible shaft drill or a pendant drill in your studio, or even Dremels. So I'm going to go over that spectrum, introduce you to all those, show you what kind of maintenance those things need and how to take care of them, and either help you find the tool that's right for you, or if you already have one that you're really happy with, but you're like, I have no idea what all these attachments are for. There are attachments that can turn it into a hammer handpiece, that can turn it into a sand belt, that can turn it into all kinds of other useful, practical tools for the studio that you may not know about. So, plus the fact that there's like a million little attachments. So, I'm going to show you what they all do, or introduce you to what a lot of them can do. And the following day, on the 4th, I'm going to do finishing and polishing. I've had loads of people ask me, about finishing and polishing, not just with a Flex Shaft, but using things like their buffers and tumblers and pin finishers. So all of those things we're going to go over on Sunday. I use a lot of pin finishers and mass finishing for the production work that I do and for my work here in the studio. So there are lots and lots and lots of options. Depending on what you're doing, you may find that some finishing techniques work better than others, but that's going to be on Sunday. Julia's got Make Your Mark, and that's going to be making stamps and punches, so customizing your own marks for your own jewelry. This can be an incredibly liberating class, so that you have an idea of how to, one, recycle some of your steel tools into tools you can use for other purposes in your own studio, like making your own stamp for your own hallmarking. Also making pattern stamps, and how to work harden the steel and turn it into a tool that you can use again. She's also got the Sparks class that's going to be starting. Actually, it's on right now for the 11th, but she's going to put it off and start on the 18th instead of the 11th, so that's actually starting a week later. And the Sparks class is designed to get you going in your studio, so getting you back into the rhythm of making your stuff, making your own work, and getting you all revved up and back in the studio and back in the practice of doing things daily, and to provide you with a group that is can give you some feedback, can give you critique, can help you with ideas and bounce those ideas off of each other. So that's coming up, and there's a series of stone settings classes coming up. But very exciting news, we've got Leslie Perino, who's going to be doing an enameling techniques class coming up on September 24th and 5th. Leslie's a brilliant enamelist and jewelry maker and teacher, and she is absolutely awesome. I've known her for a very long time. She teaches in the Chicago area, Evanston Arts Center, quite often, and shows work in many exhibitions all over the country for many years now. But she does a really unique enameling process that adds some texture and pattern and things to your work in a really unusual way. So if you are new to enameling and are looking for more interesting techniques, if you are working with copper in your studio and metal in your studio, you want to add some color and pattern to your work, but you're not sure how, this is for all levels. So if you don't have a kiln, you actually can work with an ultralight kiln, which is very small, or torch fire. So there are all kinds of ways that you can work with enamels in your studio that are very low tech. You don't have to have a whole huge studio full of equipment to do just enameling. So anyway, it's a great introduction of how to add pattern and color to your work. So and Leslie's an amazing instructor, so please, I'm going to be sitting in on that class. I'm really looking forward to it. So because 1, I love Leslie, she's 2, an amazing instructor, and 3, it's adding color and pattern to my work, which I love. So I'll be there, and I hope you will too. And we've got all of our back to school stuff going on. Really excited about this. Setting up your studio, know your torch, the flex shaft, all those things are going to be going on. So some good classes just to get you back into the rhythm of getting into your studio and helping you get it set up, working out some problems with that, and to get you kind of like back in the groove. We've got our newsletter is coming out on the 1st, and I think, or the 30th, and we've got a back to school discount. So if you sign up for our newsletter, you can get a 10% discount on your purchases, your purchase in September. It's a one-time use discount for 10% off your classes. So if you signed up for the newsletter, you'll get that back to school discount. Doesn't matter if you've taken classes with us or not before. It's one-time use, so if you want to get all your fall classes in and get 10% off of everything, it could be a huge impact. And we're also going to be launching, we've had a lot of requests for some of the basics, like sawing, filing, drilling, and solder. So we've got, and safety classes. So we've got those 5 basics that we're calling our core curriculum classes, our core skills classes. And the core skills classes you can buy individually or in a bundle. They're very inexpensive. You don't have, you can watch them anytime because they're a video, and you've got always access to those. So your access to that doesn't expire. So great deal on the sort of intro skills classes to get you going and just to get you refreshed if you are like, I'm a little confused about what all the files do, or I need some help with my solder setup and practice, and if you're just not sure kind of where to start, that's a good place to start with the basics. So the core curriculum or core skills classes, those will launch this week on the 1st, so take a look at those, and if you're interested in that, you can use that back to school discount for 10% off of those classes. So yay. All right, so I'm hoping, hey, there she is, Julia is going to be joining me here, and yes, let's talk about tips. Now that I've got you all caught up on what's happening in the world of little metal foxes. So, yeah. So, hey, I was just catching everybody up on what's coming up, and here you are. Hooray. So,
yeah, it's been a bit of a busy day. It's a little bright in here. I had my eyes dilated because I had to go get, for like glaucoma and stuff because we're getting older and our eyes are super important. She says everything looks good, but my eyes are still a little like, what?
Well, welcome back. So I was just sharing with everybody that our newsletter's coming out. Get signed up for that. Get the back to school discount in the newsletter, and all of the new classes are coming up, and what classes are launching and everything. Hey, Robin, how are you? So anyway, lots of good stuff going on. Check out the newsletter for that discount for September.
And there's other cool stuff in the newsletter too. So we have like a student spotlight section. So, we have students who send us pictures of the amazingly cool work that they've made, and we are like, yay, we heart you. So we have that in the newsletter, and we try to include like tips and tricks and stuff like that, so that it's not just, not just promotional.
A little blurb on our visit with Lee Appleby is in there for this.
Exactly.
And tips and tricks and all the good stuff that's coming up. So get signed up for the newsletter on our website. You can do that. Subscription's free. We don't bombard you with news. We do like a once a month.
One a month.
And because we don't have the time. So anyway,
we're committed to once a month for you people. Once a month. Once.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, we don't sell the mailing list. We don't share it with anybody, and you'll get a letter from us once a month that tells you, hopefully, once a month, what's going on and any promotions and discounts.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So tell me, you've got these new polishing toys, and now I'm like super envious because I'm like, I have these brand new dapping punches that I want to keep them pristine and shiny, and I'm like, this might be the way.
Yeah. So, so we've got Kyle is here again. Hi, Kyle. We love you. Shout out to the high school art teachers everywhere.
Yay.
Right. So yay. Also, I was just saying earlier that every weekend on Saturdays, Big Red EDC does a community sort of shout out and review of, and it's a knife making community and collecting, and they are really an amazing group of people. I have been so impressed with that community. They have so much support for each other, and they're all about sharing the fun and lifting each other up and being there for each other, and kind of in a very Little Metal Fox kind of way, which I really appreciate. But they also have, Big Red did a sort of a blind test on metal protectants recently. And so he tried a number of different protectants, and go to Big Red EDC on YouTube and follow him, because his channel is amazing. But he did this research with the different sealants and protectants for steel. And that's really important for us because of our tools. So in the jewelry studio, a lot of the protectants and cleaning and polishing stuff crosses over into the knife industry as well, which is part of the metals industry. There are a lot of people that do metals and jewelry, and that includes knife making. And I was really kind of fascinated with what he was doing. And what he did was took a piece of steel and cleaned it, prepped it, and then used a number of different sealants, and then sprayed it with salt water and set it outside for a week. And
nice.
So
yes, that's a hell of a test
to see what would happen, and just left it alone. So for those of you that are like, what sealant's going to be best to protect my metal, any kind of heat, atmosphere, everybody lives in kind of a different kind of atmosphere depending on where you are in the country. It can be affected by the water, the altitude, the amount of sulfur in the air around you. So there are a lot of things that can affect the metal, besides salt. So if you're like, I don't live near, I don't live in a marine environment, but my metal is rusting constantly. So you may have other stuff, acids and things that are around your steel. If
Right.
your steel, if any of your tools are like next to your pickle, they're going to
I
rust.
was going to say, I have a pickle story for you.
Yeah. So you have to be a little bit careful about the protectant. But the thing that Big Red found was that none of the protectants protected it from rusting outside for a week after being sprayed with salt water. However, some did it longer than others. And one of the things that happened during this is that one of the ones that he was testing was from Flitz. And we use Flitz a lot in the jewelry studio. I've been using Flitz polishing compound for years for all kinds of stuff. And you can pick it up at hardware stores and jewelry suppliers everywhere. So I immediately sort of was like, I didn't realize you guys were using Flitz like that. So I also didn't realize that Flitz had a number of other sealants, protectants, and cleaners that I was unaware of. Oh, hello, Leslie. So with the test that he was doing, Flitz reached out to him and said, here's some, thank you for including us in this research you were doing. Here's, a little test of, some of the other materials. We probably would have used this protectant. And he was like, okay, didn't know about that one. So they introduced him to some other ones, and he shared that with the community. They also got a discount from Flitz, which is Big Red EDC, which is 10% off of your purchases. And I was like, well, I'm out of Flitz right now. So I ordered some. And I got one of the kits that I'll tell you about here that includes a whole bunch of stuff from them. That's a sealant, a wax, a cleaner, and the polish. And it also included their Flitz little microfiber towel. I love it. So anyway, it's big. Look at that. It's like a whole working surface.
From a jewelry perspective, that thing's enormous, right? Like we're used to polishing things with something that's like this big. You realize you can dry your whole body with that.
Clean my dog with it. It's huge.
I know.
But it comes in a nice little set, and they do have other sets that are amazing. They have kits that you can buy that are little sets like this for jewelry. They also have it for like gun and knife care and for other, just other purposes in general, for automotive, for plexiglass and plastics and paint. So there's lots and lots and lots of other stuff that this can be used for. But in the jewelry industry, this is the one most people recognize that they're using as a cleaner, especially on their steel tools, because it cleans and polishes and removes rust and is a little bit of a corrosion protectant. But it also restores paint, and I use it for like polishing plastics and horn and all kinds of stuff. So this stuff is really common in the jewelry studio. But yeah, here's a matte finish cleaner that I hadn't seen before, and this is kind of cool stuff. There's also a ceramic sealant.
That's the one that, I had a chance to go over to Jennifer's studio yesterday, and I got to touch some of the tools that she tried this out on. And I was like, yeah. Because, that's one of the downsides of the whole video thing. It's like, you're going to have to get these things, peeps, and then you're going to have to try it yourself to be able to feel it for yourself. Right. But it was, tell them what you did, and tell them how it felt. Okay? Because
here's the deal. So what I did was, mandrels always need a little love. And I have a little set of mini.
Handle them a lot, right? You can't not handle a mandrel. And so the oil and acids and water, sweat from your hand, is going to be on your mandrels.
Right. So anytime you're handling these guys, you're going to get, fingerprints, and those fingerprints are going to leave acids and salts and, moisture.
Right.
So, taking care of these like little mini mandrels. These are for stone setting and can be used for chain and stuff. And my stone setting mandrels were the ones that really needed a little bit of love. And so I've got this one that I was just working on. But a lot of times when they're left after use, they have a tendency to collect some oxides and get a little rusty. So what I recommend doing is taking, I use a little bit of like 600 grit sandpaper. There it is. So what I would use to get rid of that kind of stuff is just a little bit of like 600.
So that it's hard to see, but there's a little bit of actual rust on that piece. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. You can kind of see where it's a little browned up and a little pitted. And you
okay.
Stop it before it starts hitting the steel, right?
So, pitting is bad.
Yeah. So, especially when you're working with like ring mandrels and you don't want to get those marks on the inside of your rings. So, same is true with your bezels. And I don't mind having a little bit of a matte finish on my bezel mandrels and my ring mandrel. It's okay with me. I don't really like them to be a high shine. My burnishers, on the other hand, are another story. Those
need
high polish. But rust can be really corrosive, and it can spread to other stuff. What was your story with your pickle rust?
Well, it wasn't me, luckily, but my dear friend Charles had his dapping punches were in a stand, and he had them on a shelf over his pickle pot. And so, like, the steam from the pickle pot is going to carry little particles of the acid that is pickle, right? And this is, I don't care what kind of pickle it is. I would bet you money that citric acid pickle would do this just as the sodium bisulfate pickle does.
Oh, yeah. Well, and vinegar, salt. I mean, you
any of it. Because right. So, because it was sort of upstream from the pickle pot, he looked up one day and was like they were completely rusted. Like just a thin but complete covering of rust on every one of them. And with the dapping punches, it's like, because they're such a pain to clean, and then you have to, they're round. I mean, it's so much freaking work. I mean, a mandrel, you can sort of slide your sandpaper on it, and it actually doesn't take that long. But round things, and then to make sure they keep them round, you don't put flat spots on them. I mean, he was just like,
Well, and it's really hard to keep that stuff clean and protected all the time, especially if you're not using it all the time. And then you look over and suddenly everything, like you said, is covered in, this perfectly fine, covered.
Right, like a perfect layer of like the most tiny little dots of rust on everything. Yeah. The other piece of this, of course, is that, I mean, you can protect tools, right? Like I'm a big fan of the Kurobara Camellia oil, which is a really, really lightweight oil. But the problem with that is, I mean, that's fine if you're protecting something and you're not using it. Yeah. Like if you're putting it in storage or something, like, boy, howdy, do you need to oil your tools. Do not put WD-40 on them, because that stuff is hygroscopic. It'll actually draw water to your tools and it will make them rust faster. Yeah. But if you're using them all the time, you don't want a layer of oil. Like I've been working on dapping some things, and it's like the last thing you want is a layer of oil, because it's going to make your little dap thing stick inside your dapping punch, and it can, into your dapping block, or stick to your dapping punch.
Yeah, and it can be problematic when you're trying to solder something and you've got oil or grease on it.
Oh yeah, forget it if it's soldering. But I'm just saying, even forming, the oil can be a problem because it actually makes things stick to each other in ways that are not helpful, right? Yeah. Like you don't want your little this thing to get stuck in your dapping block because you've kept your dapping block oiled to keep it shiny. And so when I saw what you were doing with this, I was like,
what I would, oops, sorry, you're breaking up there. You back? You're back.
I was just saying, I was just excited by what you were doing. That's all.
Yeah. So this is very cool stuff, because stuff like the polish is great for things like steel, because in chrome and plastics and all kinds of stuff. But what I usually will do with this is if I'm using something where I can use like a buff, a little woolly buff. Let me find one. Here's one. Here's one now.
I'll have your hand in the picture, even if you had to get out of the frame to get the buff.
The little fluffy buffs like this, you can get these by the 100, from Amazon,
Right.
because they're used for all kinds of little, Dremel stuff. But what you can do with this is just use a little bit of the Flitz on these little cotton bobs and in your flex shaft and use it to sort of polish your surfaces. And then I'll usually wipe it down really well afterwards. But this is a very, very, very fine an abrasive with sort of a creamy layer in it.
So you've just sanded your mandrel. So are you going to clean it with the Flitz now?
You can, yeah.
Is that what you're going to do?
Oops, that one's not open. Hang on, I've got one that's open.
I mean, would you use that little puffy buff to clean your mandrel? No, you would just use a rag to clean your mandrel.
I would use this for like my my other tools that that are more
like a hammer face or something.
Yeah, or stuff like your dapping block or your dapping punches.
Sure, because you have to get down in. Yeah.
And you can get these in cone shapes and mop shapes and all kinds of stuff. So this,
the Flitz stuff is for cleaning. This is for it's mild abrasive, so it's for removing any oxides from the surface.
And it's like a paint restorative. So like I said, it has such a fine abrasive and sort of sealant to it. It actually can restore the paint on things like cars where it's gotten a little dry and old, or if you've got paint on all kinds of stuff. So just being able to sort of polish it up with a little bit of this, whether it's on a rag, so you can use like a microfiber cloth, which I'm going to use for the mandrels, but little buffs like this with just a little bit of the Flitz on it can clean and work great on things that are more three-dimensional. But with the mandrel, what I would do is take a little bit.
Show us what you just did.
A little bit of the Flitz on. Here we go. I'll turn it this way. So you can see a little bit better. Here we go.
You want to see it all. You want to see everything.
Hello. So with the mandrel and using the microfiber, I can just clean that really, really well. And keep in mind,
wow. Look at all the oxides that are coming off.
And that's after I just sanded and cleaned it.
I know.
Yeah.
So does it shine it up a little bit? Like you put a little bit of a matte finish on there with the 600 grit sandpaper. Is this actually going to make it a little shinier?
Right, it will. So you can see it sort of leaves it a little hazy at first. And then once it dries for just a second, you can just buff it up with like a clean section of the microfiber rag. And it's like just like skin. It's so smooth.
Shiny.
Yeah.
Shiny and pretty.
And so it gives me a little bit more of it's getting up to almost a shinier surface. Still a little matte, which is actually good for what I want it to do.
For what you want, right.
Right.
But now it's all clean. It doesn't have that kind of sticky feeling of the finger oils and varnish on there.
So one of the ones, this kit that I got is actually a tactical gun and knife care kit. And the reason that I wanted to try it is because of the matte finish cleaner, which doesn't leave like a high shine but it protects it against like fingerprints and stuff, which is great for things like mandrels that are getting handled all the time. So spraying a little bit of that on my microfiber, right? And using that, and this will remove any of the grease and stuff that's left on the surface, any oils, waxes, fingerprints. And so it's super clean, and to touch it, it's just absolutely clean. It doesn't feel like I've got any residue on here at all now, and it's still
So you would use the Flitz polish, and then you would use the matte cleaner?
Yeah. So that really cleans off, like that whole surface. Because this is, you can use this all by itself, but I really want to maintain and protect this for a little bit longer.
Right.
So using like the matte finish cleaner is great on surfaces like this, because this now is just absolutely clean and protected really well.
Okay.
The other thing, and you can go one of two ways with this. This is our carnauba wax, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you this in a second. But the ceramic sealant is the thing that blew my mind. I was like,
that was the one that you like put it on some of your little mandrels, and it's like, whoop, I mean, and I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, for making sure stuff doesn't. I'm hoping that will help me keep things from. You know how stuff gets stuck in the dapping block sometimes,
Yes.
and I'm hoping that maybe this would help reduce some of that.
I think it will. I really think it will.
Well, first of all, I just bought a new dapping block, which is like super mirror finish and super clean, like super freaking clean.
Absolutely.
Super shiny. And so I want to clean it really well because it came oiled. And I don't want things to get stuck because there's oil residue, which will tend to, make it a little tacky.
So this still, what you want to do with the ceramic sealant is spray it on the cloth.
Not on the metal, just spray it on the cloth.
So I'm spraying it on the cloth, and you don't want it to dry on the metal. You actually want to sort of like polish it in a little bit and buff it, and then go to a dry section of your rag and just dry it off completely. And so I just followed the instructions that are on there. And this thing is just like, what? So it feels like it's covered. It just is as soft as like a tulip petal. I mean, it's amazing. And it's not greasy. It's not oily at all. So I've got a sealant on there. I've removed all the rust. It's changed the surface of this to like Teflon. I guess Teflon's the closest.
I like the tulip petal. I think the tulip petal is a lovely, because it is a very soft sort of feel to the finish, because I was fondling some of her little miniature bezel mandrels yesterday, and I was like, ooh.
Right? So the thing that I was really impressed with is that it's a deep clean. That cleaner that I used first, it really penetrates the surface.
Cleaner, the cream Flitz cleaner, the classic cream Flitz cleaner in the that one. I was thinking you meant the first one.
Yeah. No, the first one is really great for cleaning it and removing all the stuff, and smoothing it down.
That's the one that, like, I've seen it in everybody's toolbox, right? The sort of half-used tube of that stuff. Right. The gray tube that says Flitz, everyone has it, except me.
That stuff will last forever. But this kind of blew my mind, because it's a water-based material, as far as I know. A lot of their stuff is environmentally friendly, which is really good. So you can sort of the details on a lot of that. But this is not like a strong alcohol or anything that is like harsh. And the fact that it cleans the steel so well, it doesn't have any like, weird odor or anything at all. It's just,
I'm super sensitive to stuff like that. I appreciate that things are, it's like, I don't need a lot of additional perfumes in my world, right? Like, please, no.
But the depth at which it cleaned out everything on that matte finish really was surprising to me. And then once I got the sealant on there, it's just as slick as like a Teflon.
It's as soft as a tulip petal.
Soft as a tulip petal. So, but it gives me a really even matte finish on these, which is just lovely.
Nice.
And if this stuff is, especially the ceramic sealant, and between the Flitz polish and then the ceramic sealant, this stuff should stay pretty much rust-free for a lot longer. And especially if I'd stopped touching it, but it just feels so good now.
Well, but you have to touch your tools. I mean, this is part of it too, is that, you want to be able to handle your tools, and then also be able to, like, if you're going to go away for a while and you need to leave them, put in storage, God help you if you need to do that.
Right.
And if you're just going on vacation and it's like, oh, these are the things I handle all the time, I probably should like give them a quick wipe with Flitz.
And Kyle's saying with a full set of 30 tools in the studio, the classroom, this would save so much time. And it's true, because if you've got something that's going to protect the tools that much better and longer, it's not that expensive. It's not a huge investment with this stuff. I mean, like I said, a tube like this has lasted me.
Right, because those,
And,
you're not using a ton of it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the tactical kit that I've got for the matte finish, let me take a look real quick here, was like $25. That's it,
Okay.
including that microfiber cloth. So it had the matte cleaner, the ceramic sealant,
But
and that.
didn't you make an arrangement? Didn't you? Wasn't there a
I did. Oh, hey, Odette. So one of the things I'll tell you is that I added the carnauba wax. I think was not in that kit, but I added the carnauba wax so that I can use on other things to do a little bit cleaner seal when I'm using wax. But on these, wow, I love this. So
you wouldn't put wax on a mandrel. That would be wax on a piece that you were.
Yeah.
It's like the museum wax.
This one, it's a really thin carnauba wax, and it, and I'll show you, it's, just a really light, like cream, actual cream. And to use it on here, on top of the ceramic, I don't know that it would do, anything much better than the ceramic sealant, but it's just a carnauba wax, and it's still super smooth, smooth and clean. But it's just another layer, and carnauba wax is just, another protectant from, the atmosphere. So, and that does have that like carnauba sort of smell to it. But yeah, so now rust is gone. This is sealed. It's perfectly clean and free of fingerprints, and all of this stuff.
And it feels like a tulip petal.
Feels like a tulip petal, yeah. So I'm thrilled about this stuff. So, tip of the hat. Yeah, tip of the hat to Big Red EDC. So thank you so
much. What does EDC stand for?
Everyday carry. It's so if you've got like your everyday carry, your like little pocket knife, this one. Boink. Yeah. So if you've got like a little pocket knife or something like that, that's your everyday carry. So EDC in the knife community, that's what that means. So anyway, yeah. But for those people that are working with like making knives and collecting knives, one of the things that they've got to deal with is like brass and protecting the steel from rusting and making sure it opens and closes well. And so there are a lot of people in the metal working and jewelry working area that have like pocket knives that they're using for Swiss Army knives or whatever. And this stuff is made for this. So it's made for tools that are steel and brass and material like that. The other thing I'll tell you that I didn't realize that they had was tumbling media. Yeah. So one of the they have a brass restoring material as well, but the tumbling media that is like an additive to your for like corn cob or walnut shell, you can add a little bit of this paste into your media for all metals. It works great for like brass, copper, and silver, and it just will cut your cleaning time for brass in half. So it's amazing. So highly recommend that. So anyway, Big Red, like I said, put me in touch with the folks over at Flitz, and I emailed them and said, listen, we use this a lot in the jewelry studio. I've got some students and people that I would love to share this with. Can we get a discount code for our students that are taking classes? And they responded today and said, yes, and you can share it with anybody you want. We're happy to share this. So
awesome.
If you use, and this will also be in the newsletter, but the discount, if you're interested in going to the flitz.com website and checking out their products, they also have like a whole page that's just jewelry stuff and like ultrasonic cleaner and gemstone cleaners. So that's there as well. They've got free shipping over $30 and 10% off with the code BOXES. So,
Capital FOXES, right?
right. So if you use the promotional code FOXES, you'll get 10% off your order plus free shipping over $30. So
Nice.
in the continental U.S. So if you've got yeah. So what did I say? Okay. Question from Julie says, "Hi, Julie.
What did you suggest to put in the tumbler to help with cleaning brass? She missed that.
Oh,
This
like
is specifically, I think, for like cleaning shells for ammunition, right?
yeah,
So those are usually cartridge brass is usually, I think it's brass 360. So it's a particular alloy of brass, and
and it can
it's
be
usually
really
tumbled with.
stubborn to clean.
It can be really stubborn, and it's usually tumbled, I believe, with like walnut shell or
Cob,
corn cob.
corn cob.
And then if you put some of this tumbling medium in, it will just shine them up more and make them
So
slipperier and whatever.
they have a brass restorer that works really well. It's like like it's kind of like Brasso, but it's not as I don't think it's quite as nasty as Brasso. But if you
Brasso is its own thing.
yeah,
It works, but it's a little.
But they have a brass restorer that's amazing, brass and copper, and then they've got the additive to your tumbling media that
Okay.
just use a little bit of it.
Do they say which kind of tumbling medium you should put it in with?
Either like walnut or corn cob.
Okay.
Yeah, and or wood. You can use the wood
Right.
with it. So there's like wood cubes and yeah, so walnut, wood, and the corn cob. It works great with that stuff. And it literally will just cut your brass cleaning time down to nothing. You just throw it in there and let it tumble for, a couple hours. It'll clean up the brass. Really stubborn stuff on the brass. So, yeah, give that a try. And I think, Julie, let me take a peek here. Let's see. With the tumbling media additive is for the small size is it's like $16.95. So it's also not expensive. Will last a long time. It comes kind of in a container like that, and it does not take very much to get. It basically impregnates all of the media with this cleaning compound. So it's like it's like adding like sunshine cloth juice.
Yeah, the sunshine burn. It's like adding burnishing liquid to like the plastic tumbling media or the porcelain. I use the porcelain little cut pieces in my vibratory tumbler, and I mean, lots of people use dish soap, but I actually use proprietary.
This is more like adding the stuff that's in sunshine cloth to your media.
To the dry medium, right? Because you can't add a liquid to corn cob or the walnut shells or the wood cubes because it doesn't. That doesn't work.
Yeah,
right? Like the liquid only works. The sunshine medium burnishing compound only works for the kind, like the porcelain or the plastic ones where that are wet. So there's a difference between dry and wet tumbling.
Yeah.
Dry tumbling, the Flitz is they're all about dry tumbling.
When you're working with corn cob, wood, and walnut, those are all dry materials, and they are used for like buffing, polishing, and doing things like cleaning this. And you don't do that wet; you do it dry. Right. So that does save a ton of time because you're not working with, fishing stuff out of a wet tumbler. But
I don't know. I never have a problem. I always just hook things onto a piece of wire, though I did see in Corky's new book, one of her tips was to hook things on like a silicone, like twist tie type thing in your tumbler. I was like, oh, that's a good idea.
You can also use zip ties. I'll just use a piece of wire, copper wire.
Right. I mostly just use a piece of wire. I have a bunch of pieces of wire, and then throw them in. And then if you have a bunch of little teeny things, they're all hooked onto one wire, and you can just fish around and find the wire. So and it polishes the wire and doesn't change anything.
And speaking of Corky,
I know. I thought I would just throw that in there.
Thanks. Nice lead-in. So Corky's new book from Metalsmith Society. And if you're not following Metalsmith Society on Instagram, shame on you. Go follow Corky, and she's got so much good stuff. And this book is amazing. one of the things that I really love about this is that a lot of books have like pro tips and we're so fancy. This one has tips from the community. And
Right.
so this page in particular about tumbling questions has like 3 different tips from the community. So
Right.
I love that she's sharing and giving those people credit for sharing those tips. And I love that. So it's a lot about the community.
That's really her thing on her Instagram is all about community. It's all about a rising tide lifts all boats. I mean, it's one of the reasons we're like totally aligned with Corky and Metalsmith Society. So I really enjoyed getting a chance to look at that book when I was over there. I'm a bit of a book snob.
Yeah.
Bit of a book snob, have to confess. But I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought the information was sound. I was worried that she was, going to be wrong about some things. I was like, no, she's right.
No,
I'm very
like,
fussy about the science, and she was
like,
right about the science. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. So I was impressed. Go Corky. I was impressed.
Good safety information, and it's absolutely beautiful. So it's now available. Pre-order. I have a pre-order, and I got 2. So I'm going to share one. We're going to do a giveaway we'll announce the winner on Tuesday. So keep an eye out for the giveaway for this. We'll also have the, like I said, in our newsletter, we've got the discount code for Flitz and for this and for back to school.
Yeah, we have you really need to sign up for the newsletter because we're going to have multiple discount codes. And then you never know. Like if you happen to miss a Tooltip Tuesday, then you get the newsletter and then you find out.
I know. I love Tooltip Tuesdays. They're one of my favorite things. Love the community. LMF is building. Thank you, Stenhouse Jason.
Who is that?
Thank you.
That one has no relation to you.
Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate that. Kyle says, love the community that Metalsmith Society is building. I absolutely agree. They're doing a great job. And Kyle just placed an order for his Flitz with the discount. So great. I hope that. I would love to hear, give us some feedback on how it works for you and what you think about it. I love the fact that I don't feel like I've got residue all over my hands. I mean, I just polished all that stuff and
I am so
nothing.
It's like my hands get so dry, right? You wash your hands all the time in the studio. And I've used like gloves in a bottle, and I have a hard time. That doesn't really work for me. One of the few things that works for me is working hands cream. If you don't put a whole lot on, because it's not greasy, and that's the thing for all of us. It's like you don't want things slipping out of your hands.
Well, and this is the thing, with the cleaner. It's not hydroscopic. It didn't suck all the moisture out of my hands. I don't feel like I've got chemicals on my hands. I don't feel like I'm like covered in grease or goo. And, was able to do this with all of those. And usually between the polishing, the cleaning, and the sealing on most of your tools, you end up filthy and covered in stuff like grease and chemicals. And I really honestly don't feel like I have, I haven't dried out my hands. I don't feel like I'm, all crusty from the materials. So anyway, I highly recommend it for those of you that are just now joining us. Hello and welcome to Tooltips. But go back and watch this. And if you have any questions about any of the Flitz compounds and what they have, they've got a great website. They're really open to communicating about their
very responsive.
What's in it? They've got all of the safety data sheets if you need them. You can print those out and add them to your safety binder in your studio, and which I always recommend. But the tactical kit for the matte finish stuff is great. The Flitz compound is great. The ceramic sealant is to die for. So anyway, so check it out and use the code FOXES, FOXES, to get 10% off on.
Does it have to be uppercase or does it matter?
I don't think it matters.
Okay.
But I mean, it was all uppercase when he showed it to me. So anyway,
some things are special that way, and they have to be all uppercase. But
yeah. So yeah, thanks to Jim at Flitz for working with us and giving some people a discount. So it's 10% off, and you get 30% or free shipping over $30. So whatever you guys want to do with that, great. But yeah, jewelry, knife world, all that stuff, go take a look for that. Yeah, so if you missed any of our previous tool talks with all of the tool tips and things that we've done over the last year and a half, those are all here on Instagram as well as on YouTube. And it was really funny. I had somebody tell me recently that they were like, my COVID plan is to binge all of your tool talks.
Nice. If they catch COVID, which I hope they don't. Is that what that was about?
Like,
if I'm sick at home with COVID, I'll just watch all the tool tips.
When I'm completely isolated and doing nothing, I'm going to watch all the tool tips. So late at night, when you want to put yourself to sleep, put on the YouTube, click on our tool tips, and get some ideas for later. But yeah, we've got stone setting, tools, finishing, polishing, all those tips, and kind of.
You have some new stone setting classes coming up. You have like the 2-prong setting one, and you have, what else do you have? You have that one, and then you have, what is it? It's tube and crown or something. I don't know.
The tube. Oh God, I don't even know. The gravity.
I'm putting you on the spot. I know you have the 2-prong setting. That's really cool, right? It's like you look at those pieces and you're like, how is that staying in there? Because it's only got 2 prongs.
It's almost invisible.
Class, and you'll find out.
So yeah, the half-drilled pearls and stone.
Oh, that's the other one. The half-drilled pearls and
tapered tube and crown, and then the gravity cast settings. So gravity cast settings there's so many things that are possible, and but like I said, we've got our all of the core skills classes coming up that are going to be launched before this weekend.
I think they're actually up at this point.
Oh, good. Okay.
I think they are. I think our core skills our core is strong. We have our core.
Yeah. Get that core tight.
Right.
So we've got our core classes. We've got a good bundle deal on those. They're not expensive at all. If you get the 4 classes, you get the safety class basically for free.
Right.
But we've got flex shaft and polishing and finishing coming up this weekend. Julia's got Make Your Mark, and then the Sparks class is going to be starting on the 18th. And then all the stone setting classes. And of course, Leslie's enameling class. And again, she's amazing. So
amazing. And you can do that enameling class with a torch. You don't have to have a kiln. So all you torch fire people, check it out. Because it's a really...
It's all levels.
And it's a really cool technique using embossing folders, which I didn't even know existed. And now I need like all of them.
Yeah, Leslie's an amazing teacher. She's really clever and smart and funny, and she's definitely our kind of people. So we like her a lot. But yeah, check out the Flitz.com website. Check out Big Red EDC on YouTube and Saturday Knife Live. Their community is amazing as well. And big shout out to Big Red for introducing me to more Flitz that I know what to do with now. So
thank you, Red.
Yes, thank to Big Red. All right. Hi, we love you. So Julia, I will see you later on. Everybody, let us know. Give us some feedback if you've got, try it out, see what you think, and we'd love to hear from you. If you have items that you would like to hear us talk about for Tool Tip Tuesday, let us know. Direct messages. And stay tuned next week for tool tips. And we are going to discuss some different spray bottle applicators for...
Are we? I thought we were talking about vermiculite.
Oh, vermiculite's next week, yes. So vermiculite next week. Vermiculite in the studio, and then we've got spray bottles following that. So,
spray bottles, yes. There's all kinds of good stuff coming up. Jennifer has all kinds. Just so many things. Just so many things on deck for tool tips.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, all right. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight, and have a great week. We'll see you next week. And bye. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.